Hello and welcome to the top 12 movies that I saw in theaters for 2016. Again, let me start this by saying these are my top 12 films of the year based on what I saw in the theater for this year. So if I watched an older movie for the very first time, it won't be counted on this list. This is only stuff that came out this year and only the stuff I got around to seeing. So if it's not on the list and you're like, hey, this movie was so much better than this movie, chances are I probably didn't get around to seeing whatever that was, or I just found it kind of because I think I saw a total of like 86 movies this year, or at least according to my YouTube playlist I did. So this is me narrowing down my top 12 out of that 86 for the movies I saw for 2016. So before we get started on this list, I do have one honorable mention, and that's because I saw the film in theaters and completely spaced out on it and never did a review on it. But it is a movie that I saw, so I just want to give it mention somewhere since I never did the review on it. And that goes to Dirty Grandpa. It's an average comedy film about a grandfather whose wife dies and he decides, I'm finally single again after so many years. I want to go back out and kind of relive my life. And he coaxes his grandson into going to spring break with him and picking up chicks and going to the bar and things like that. So it's kind of like if Jackass's Bad Grandpa decided to actually be a movie and actually have a plot instead of just being Jackass stunts in the old man makeup, and what it could have been. So I enjoyed it for what it was, but I ended up seeing it around the same time that I saw Zoolander 2. If you actually watch all my videos, you'll remember that I saw Zoolander 2 right before I moved, and then I filmed a review after I moved, so it went up like a couple weeks after I saw it. And I actually saw Dirty Grandpa that same week over at the Dollar Theater, and I ended up losing the ticket stub for it. So once I got done moving and I sat down to actually film the reviews, I was looking at my ticket stubs and I just filmed for what I had. And since I didn't have Dirty Grandpa, I just forgot about it until I was going through movies I had seen for the year, and I was like, wait, I did see that, didn't I? And looking through my reviews, nope, it wasn't there. Realized I'd forgot to record and post that video. So, Dirty Grandpa gets the honorable mention. Don't know if it would have made it to the top 12 list of the year, but I wanted to report that I did see it somewhere, and it was an okay film. So now let's get to the list.
Number 12.
So our number 12 slot on the top films that I saw this year is a tie. Now, I really hate doing ties, but I really couldn't decide which one I wanted on the list more. And I'll explain that after I tell you what films are tied for number 12. So the number 12 films for this year are Criminal and The Boy. So why are these two tied for 12th place? Well, as I was putting together the list, I got down to my top 17 movies, and I kind of cut off ones that I was just like, they were just kind of meh, and got it down to like 14, and I was like, okay, I still have to cut a couple more, and one was kind of an easy choice, and then I got down to The Boy and Criminal. And with Criminal, I remember liking that a lot better than The Boy. It was more of an action-based film and a lot easier to follow. But I honestly couldn't remember anything about the film. But then The Boy, which was only kind of a meh film, I remembered in a lot of detail. I remember a lot of things from that movie scene by scene almost. So I was trying to decide, is the better film better if you can't remember it, or is the slightly less good film better because you can remember a lot of it? It's kind of that, is it so bad it's good, or is it just meh? And not that The Boy was bad, The Boy was good for the most part, but because I was at that crossroad, I decided to just make them a tie for the number 12 slot. But because of that, that also leads to why they're only number 12 on the list, very bottom of the list, and that's because Criminal, I remember liking it, but just can't remember anything about it, but it was better than all the other stuff that I could have picked from. And The Boy, the main downfall was the ending. Yes, it had a nice twist ending, but the overall twist was kind of a letdown for what they had built up. So, yeah, that's why it kind of sits at the bottom at number 12.
Number 11.
So the number 11 film on the list this year goes to Hardcore Henry. Hardcore Henry takes the number 11 slot because I thought it was kind of revolutionary for what it was, the whole first-person perspective type of thing, kind of putting you in the movie. It was an interesting concept that, although I believe I mentioned in the video that it was sort of done before. It hasn't really been done to this scope before, as far as I can recall. I'm sure I named some things in the review that were very similar to it, but I don't remember that right offhand because of how long ago it was. But I actually strongly remember the movie, and like I said, it was kind of interesting for what it was. It was a new take on a film for the most part, and that's why it gets the number 11 slot on my top movies of 2016.
Number 10.
So number 10 slot on the list for 2016 goes to Kubo and the Two Strings. Overall, just like the other films, it's just kind of a film, but I enjoyed it for what it was, and I remember quite a bit of it in detail. Not really a whole lot of other reason why it's on the list other than that, other than I liked it better than The Boy, Criminal, and Hardcore Henry. And if those are on the list, this would obviously have to be above it. But at the same time, it does have its minor flaws, which I mentioned in the review. But overall, it was still a good film, and that's why it's number 10 on the list for 2016.
Number 9.
So the number 9 film on the list for 2016 is something I didn't really think I was going to quite enjoy. It looked like it was going to be funny from the previews, and I liked all the actresses that were in it. But I wasn't expecting a whole lot going into it, and it actually surprised me by being fairly decent. And that goes to Bad Moms. Now, why is this being ranked above things like The Boy, Criminal, Hardcore Henry, and Kubo and the Two Strings? Because it honestly made me laugh. And I'm sorry, but female lead comedies usually don't make me laugh. So, like I said, I was going into it kind of thinking it was going to fall flat, and it actually had me laughing quite a bit through the whole thing. So that makes it resonate with me, and that's why it earns a higher spot on the list than those other films. And that's why it's the number 9 pick for the top movies of 2016.
Number 8.
So the number 8 film for 2016 goes to The Nice Guys. What can I say about The Nice Guys? It's a 70s/80s buddy cop film that actually has quite a bit of comedy in it. How can you not like it? It kept me entertained through the whole thing, other than that feeling that I'd seen it somewhere before. But like I said, I don't know if that's because I actually had seen part of it before at some point, or if it was a remake of some sort. But it just had that nostalgic feeling of a 70s/80s movie that I'd seen before, and kind of gave me that nostalgic kick, and that's why it gets the number 8 slot on the top movies of 2016.
Number 7.
So the number 7 slot for the top films of 2016 goes to Central Intelligence. This movie goes a long way to showcase the comedic talents of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and it had me laughing quite a bit all the way through it. The only shortcoming being Kevin Hart's overacting shtick that he does in every film. But at the same time, it played well enough off of The Rock's character to justify why he would be acting like that for the most part. So I'm able to overlook that. And like I said, any comedies that can keep me laughing through the whole thing, they resonate with me because I don't really laugh at a lot of comedies. A lot of things that people find funny, I don't. And it takes something really impressive to actually make me laugh out loud. So that's why Central Intelligence gets the number 7 spot on the top list for 2016.
Number 6.
So the number 6 film for 2016 goes to Trolls. Kind of a late entry on the list of movies that I saw this year. It only came out a month or so ago. And overall, it was just kind of an average film. But it earns a spot because those damn songs were stuck in my head for days. And again, if something resonates with me that much, it sticks with me. And the fact that I kind of listened to some of the songs on loop repeatedly for days and days and days obviously puts it at a higher rank than something that just made me laugh. If something can make me want to hear it or see it over and over and over again, even in short doses, it ranks higher than something that just makes me laugh out loud. And that's why Trolls gets the number 6 spot on the top movies of 2016.
Number 5.
So the number 5 slot this year goes to Zootopia. I don't think I really need to explain why Zootopia is in my top 5 for the year. It's just a brilliant movie. Again, it's not something that we haven't seen before, but the way they handled the subject matter made me feel that they were really treating kids like adults for a change. You know, this is an animated movie targeted towards young children, and it was just very, not adult themed, but adult oriented, if that makes sense. And they're not pandering to children with the idea that children are dumb and don't understand things. They're actually saying, hey, you know, kids are intelligent. Let's give them an intelligent film that they'll actually understand. But at the same time, they're not bored by because they can relate to it because it's got animals on the screen. Something that movies like Sing, I think, are trying to capitalize on, the anthropomorphic animals, and they just missed the point of what made this a good film with whatever it is that they made, which I haven't seen yet. So, it's just kind of a guesstimation there. But overall, like I said, Zootopia is just a very smart film and doesn't pander to the children, and that's why it gets the number 5 spot for my top movies of 2016.
Number 4.
So the number 4 film for 2016 goes to Deadpool. Now you may be saying, wait a minute, Deadpool's top 4? Why isn't it like top 3, top 2, number 1, It was a good movie. Why is it so low on your list? Yes, it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. The two problems that I saw with it was, one, there was so many times I saw that preview by the time it came out, the hype had kind of worn off on me, similar to like Batman v Superman. I had heard hype about that movie for 2 years before it came out. So by the time it finally got closer and closer and closer to coming out, I just didn't care. The hype surrounding Deadpool wasn't quite that large. I only heard about it for a couple months leading up to it, but still by that point you're just like, I don't care anymore. I'm going to see the movie, just leave me alone about it. The second downfall to it was Ryan Reynolds. Now, again, a lot of people are going to hate me for that. They're going to be like, Ryan Reynolds was the best part. He perfectly portrays Deadpool. No, he doesn't. He perfectly portrays Ryan Reynolds, whose shtick just happens to be very, very similar to the character of Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds plays the exact same character in every film, and it's just him playing Ryan Reynolds, and that's what I can't stand. The film was great, Deadpool was great, it was just a little too much Ryan Reynolds for me, and I know I'm not the only person that feels that. I've heard other people say it after I posted my review of it. I found out that a lot of other people agreed that it was just a bit too much Ryan Reynolds. Doesn't take away too much from the overall impact of the movie. The movie was still great, which is why it's number 4 on the list of top movies for 2016.
Number 3.
The number 3 slot on the list goes to 10 Cloverfield Lane. Now you may be saying, wait a minute, 10 Cloverfield Lane ranks above Deadpool? Yes it does. Again, like I said, Deadpool wasn't a bad film. It had one major flaw, namely the star. So really, it probably should be higher on my list. But the reason 10 Cloverfield Lane is higher on the list is because it actually kept my intrigue through the whole film. It starts out with a cold opening. You end up in this basement, and the guy's telling you there was an accident, there was this invasion, whatever. And the whole time you're kind of wondering, is he telling the truth or is he just making stuff up to keep this girl here? And by the end, you find out, spoiler if you haven't seen the review already, that he's been telling the truth, but he's also been manipulating people to try and keep things under his version of control. And it's just a really awesome mind bend. And like I said, it had its low points, but it kept me intrigued through the whole thing, and it had a great twist at the end, which wasn't really a twist, it was kind of called, but the is he or isn't he whole thing about it was just awesome, and that's why 10 Cloverfield Lane is my number 3 pick for the top movies of 2016.
Number 2.
So we're down to the top 2, and the number 1 and number 2 slot was a really hard choice for me. I had the 2 movies that were going to be here. It was just a really hard decision of what order to put them in. I almost considered tying them for first place and adding another film to the list, but then I was like, well, I don't want to do a lot of ties. I really don't like having more than one tie in each list. So since I had the tie at number 12, I had to put these in the 1 and 2 slot, but more or less they're kind of interchangeable. But I will get into why I went in this order as we go. So the number 2 film for the top movies of 2016 goes to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, awesome. Like I said in the review, the only real downfall I feel is they kind of jump backwards into doing origin films again instead of like they've been doing with other stuff where they just tie an origin into an already existing movie. But I understand you have to kind of do that to introduce the characters that are going to be leading into the future films that the audience might not be familiar with. But that was my main downfall with it, is they kind of rehashed the origin story, and it was an origin story I was already familiar with from other instances. So that's why Doctor Strange took the number 2 spot over the number 1 pick, which we will get to in just a minute.
Number 1.
So number 1 pick for the top movies of 2016. If it's not Doctor Strange and it's not Deadpool, you know it's got to be one of the other films that came out this year. And it goes to Captain America Civil War. So, like I said, Doctor Strange and Captain America were on this intense tightrope battle for which one was going to be number one, which one was going to be number two, and it almost went the opposite way. But like I said, Doctor Strange did have that one minor flaw that put it at number two, where with Captain America Civil War, just the all-out story already being established, everything coming to a head, and all the heroes on screen at once battling against each other. You know, it was just all so awesome. I loved every second of it. I felt that Spider-Man was kind of shoehorned in at the last second and didn't really need to be there other than to balance the numbers of the teams. But that was one minor downfall with it that didn't really take away a whole lot from the epicness that was the team battle. And Spider-Man fit there. It was just the whole lead up to him being in there was kind of overhyped, like I said, with other stuff, like with Deadpool. You know, it was just, that was the main focus of all the previews, like, oh, the Avengers are going to fight, and hey, here's Spider-Man, and I was just like, I don't care about Spider-Man, just show me them fighting. And even though the Ant-Man bit was spoiled for me the day before I went to see it on Facebook, which I was really pissed about because that would have been an awesome surprise, it was still awesome once it actually happened. And I just still really have fond emotions towards that film, more so than Doctor Strange. But I feel a lot of positive things coming from Doctor Strange's involvement in the story now. But overall, just the epicness of everything that happened in Captain America Civil War is why it's my top film that I saw in theaters for 2016. So there you have it, my top 12 list, returning to the top 12 list, not a cheap top 5 like I had to do last year due to lack of film viewing. We're back to top 12s. So that is it for this edition. I'm going to go review some other stuff, so I'll see you soon for that. But as far as these top videos, this is it for this year. So we'll see you in the next video.